Mid-sip of my morning coffee, my hose sputtered like a deflated balloon, then went completely dry. Odd, since I own the stream that hydrates this whole valley. It was a blistering July, 100 degrees for days, and my little paradise chickens, heirloom peppers, and all depended on the spring-fed creek snaking by my cabin. My land sat just outside the pristine clutches of Green Haven, an HOA so uppity its name sounded like a boutique soap brand. For 7 years, I'd lived quietly on this plot my grandpa left me, sidestepping the prying retirees and yard obsessives next door. That calm shattered when Carla Reed, a former realtor turned HOA dictator, moved in 4 houses down the ridge. Carla's face was a constant scowl, like she was forever smelling spoiled cream, and her attitude cut like a blade. She was fixated on my property snapping photos over the fence, filing fake code complaints, even scaling a ladder to peek at my mulch pile. But cutting my water line in a drought? That was war. I followed the hose uphill, pulse racing, the ground soft and freshly dug. My irrigation tapped a pipe tied to a filtered creek inlet, buried and secure, so I thought. The pipe was sliced clean, zip-tied with a neon orange tag, violation removed per order. Order from who? I stormed toward the HOA's border, passing the old sycamore marking my land. There stood Carla, arms folded, sunglasses low, sweating through her pale blue cardigan like she was modeling for a How to Ruin Lives pamphlet. What the hell are you doing? I snapped. She didn't flinch. You've been overwatering during restrictions. As HOA president, I'm enforcing compliance. I reminded her my land wasn't under her control. She smirked. Water doesn't care about fences, Sam. You're setting a bad example. She sauntered off like she'd won a debate, leaving me with a cut pipe and fury hotter than the sun. Then it hit me like lightning. Carla had no idea she'd severed the line fed by my creek, the same creek that wound through my yard, past my shed, under my bridge, and only then trickled into Green Haven, feeding their artificial lawns, tulip beds, and golf course fantasies. They had no well, no backup, just sprinklers sipping my water. I knelt by the broken pipe, a grin spreading. For once, I held the winning card. If Carla wanted a water war, I'd be the commander. By dusk type. It was enough to keep my garden alive, but the real battle was brewing. I dug out Grandpa Joe's property records from a waterproof folder in my desk, crisp deeds proving 2 things. My boundary extended 12 feet beyond where the HOA thought, and I owned the spring head and water rights, notarized 80 years ago, reaffirmed in 2003 after Dad passed. These weren't flimsy bylaws, they were rock-solid law. I marked my line with red paint on 4 cedar posts and planted flags in the dirt. Trespassers would know they'd crossed me. Near the pipe, I taped a note to a jar: water flows where it's wanted. Next morning, I strolled downstream. Green Haven was wilting lawns browning, sprinklers clicking dry, hoses limp. Carla's allies huddled in her driveway, fanning themselves, pointing uphill. She locked eyes with me. I waved. That afternoon, a guy in a Navy uniform, some HOA-hired contractor, trespassed to inspect unauthorized changes to shared infrastructure. I asked for a warrant. He had none. I told him to leave or meet the sheriff. He scrammed. That night, by lantern light, I studied the creek's murmur. With a few tweaks, I could reroute it entirely legally on my land. No dam, no crime, just a nudge to bypass their culvert. At dawn, knee-deep in the stream, I got to work. The creek split naturally near a rocky bend where I'd tossed pebbles as a kid. I stacked flat stones and logs, subtle enough to pass as erosion control. By noon, the flow veered left, curving through my woods, away from Green Haven. Their lawns would be dust by week's end. I watched the HOA like a hawk. Their newsletter, Drought Dos and Don'ts, preached water-saving tips while their fish pond turned to mud. At the diner, a resident griped about wilted roses. Carla hadn't faced me since the pipe, but she was plotting. I checked my markers daily, hit a trail cam in a birdhouse, and planted a sign where the creek forked: private spring. No HOA access. It was courteous, but deadly in Carla's world. Days later, I caught a khaki-clad snooper with a clipboard, pretending to study ferns. He claimed to be mapping flow patterns for a community group. No card, no agency, just a quick retreat when I snapped his license plate. They were building a case, but I'd already sent the county my deeds, GPS data, and drone shots, time-stamped and sealed. The HOA's panic grew. Whispers hit town. One board member questioned Carla's authority. Another stopped paying dues. I didn't gloat, but I didn't shed tears either. They'd cut my water without warning. Consequences bite. Then footprints appeared by my rocks, fresh from a nighttime prowl. Someone had shifted a stone. I upped the anti-motion sprinklers tied to my barn's tank, filled with garlic oil and skunk spray. Safe but foul. At 2 a.m., they triggered. Footage showed Carla's lackey, a smug guy in loafers, soaked and slipping in mud, cursing as he fled. I laughed till my ribs ached, saving the clip for trespassing charges. Greenhaven's Creek was a dribble now, their green oasis a desert. Carla's vandalism town hall flopped when residents grilled her on digging rights. She dodged, flustered. I sipped iced tea on my porch, deeds ready for the county if needed. The real power was silence, letting their pressure simmer. The heat intensified, and Greenhaven's lawns crumbled to ash. Their newsletter begged for emergency water trucks. I found deeper boot prints near my cam Carla and a plumber scheming. 2 days later, I caught the plumber knee-deep, forcing the flow back. My phone recorded as I demanded his permit. He muttered, "Environmental regulation," then bolted when I mentioned the sheriff. I posted the video online, saving my peppers. It went viral. Locals cheered. That's Max's Creek. Carla's lost it. Sheriff Tate visited, boots scuffed, mustache thick. I showed him everything: footage, maps, deeds. He took copies, promising to warn the HOA. "One more stunt," he said, "and Carla faces fines." I added cams, hung reflective CDs to spook night prowlers, and upgraded my sprinklers with fish emulsion and peppermint oil. Days later, it nailed another of Carla's goons, who tumbled downhill, reeking. Word spread. The general store buzzed, folks buying me coffee for the tale. Carla filed a county complaint, claiming I hoarded resources. I countered with my packet: maps, rights, videos. The clerk chuckled, filing it. Carla's HOA meeting tanked. Only 3 attended. One resigned. Another waved my video, demanding answers. Her reign was crumbling. I hired a pro surveyor from out-of-county drones, satellites, the works. Their report was airtight. The creek was mine, rerouted legally. I laminated it, posting it by the creek with a sign: "No unauthorized access." Violators recorded, possibly sprayed. Carla marched up Sunday, demanding a civil talk. I said civility died when she cut my pipe. She hinted at water sharing, but I held firm. Trust was gone. Her neat ponytail was fraying, her stride weak. She was sinking. The county's ruling arrived, gold-sealed, confirming my exclusive rights. I posted copies everywhere: gate, barn, HOA bulletin board with a note: "Learn something, Greenhaven." Online chatter exploded. Carla's temporary ruling lie collapsed when the water district exposed their mooching sprinklers. Her lawsuit vote failed. 4 of 7 board members bailed. A resident suggested an apology. Carla stormed out. Their lawns were dead. One lady's green paint job melted. The environmental board rejected Carla's complaint: no jurisdiction. She sent a flowery letter begging for a deal. I didn't reply. She wanted control, not peace. An HOA consultant urged xeriscaping, calling their lawns negligent. Carla spun it as eco-friendly, but nobody bought it. My lush garden mocked their dust. A news crew filmed my creek, deeds, and signs, airing a calm expose. Comments roasted Carla: "Never mess with a farmer." She was ousted as president, replaced by Mr. Harper, a quiet ex-teacher. He sent a respectful letter. I replied with the ruling, clear as day. I finished rerouting the creek with a backhoe, stone-lined, looping through my orchard to a marsh, far from Greenhaven. No more free water. It wasn't revenge, it was balance. Carla watched from afar, silent. Weeks later, my land thrived: peaches heavy, bees humming. I built an underground irrigation system, solar-timed, feeding every root. At the market, folks marveled at my harvest. Greenhaven switched to cacti and gravel. Honest now, not fake. Carla moved away, quiet. A magazine ran my story: no heroes or villains, just truth. Harper asked for a creek tour for residents. I agreed, barring Carla. They learned, listened, healed. One said, "We're just borrowing this land." I nodded. It keeps score. At dusk, on my bench by the creek, carved with "Let it flow," I sat with my dog, Scout, old but loyal. Coyotes howled, stars blinked, the waters sang steady mine. Peace wasn't given, it was fought for, earned, and sweeter for it.